Good morning, good
Hello.
afternoon, and good evening. This is the Curious Anarchy podcast, and I'm here today with another episode of the Astrology series. Today we have a friend of mine, Jawan. Is that how you pronounce it, Jawan?
Yeah. You said, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear, my brother. Loud and clear.
Awesome.
So first of all, how are you? You
Doing
are?
pretty good, man. I just May 13th, which was on Thursday, and just still being able to do what I do.
Excellent. So you're a Taurus, I understand.
Correct. Yeah. Yep.
So that comes with a load of its own sort of characteristics there. I think we had the new moon this week, where I believe the themes around that was stability. So it will be interesting to hear your story that you want to share with us today.
Yeah, I think sharing my story will give insight on what they need to do, because a lot of people position that I once was in, and they're trying to find a way out. I come from the community of, I went through that phase, but first I was a Christian, and I was just looking for more answers that I wouldn't get at a church and I started researching, which that's something I've always in pretty much all areas of life, of things I just quite didn't get. And I ended up coming across a video, and it was the time, and it kind of pushed me into becoming an Israelite. And for the Hebrew Israelite is basically these people who believe that they are these biblical characters in the Bible. They believe that we, are cursed people, and this is gonna come back, or something. Well, they would say the Messiah, can help us and things like that. And I think through it at the time was because I felt like I didn't really know my identity, individual, but just our people in general. And that's what drew me to it, because it was like kind of making sense. There was like pieces of just like, see, this is how it's talking about our people. And when I say our people, I mean the melanated, and I thought that was pretty enticing, and I had never even looked at it in that way. So that's what kind of drew me to that.
How old were you at the time?
You said, how old were I?
How old were you?
I want to say I was like 25 at the time.
Okay.
25, 26 years. And it was something so fresh, and everything made sense to me. So I started, to telling people, family, telling, she was my girlfriend at the time. We're married now. And I'm like, hey, this is really cool. I think we are these people in the Bible, the Israelites, the Israel, and these are our ancestors. Like, I was so born in a sense. And I remember when I first I couldn't even sleep that night. I was fantastic about it. And eventually I started preaching that particular gospel, and really I just, so many people, I mean, like hundreds to thousands of people coming in, they're feeling lost, and I want to learn more about the Bible, Israelites aspect, as opposed of a Christian's aspect of it. They're both looking at the same book, but with a different discernment. And I would kind of present it to people on my page in that way. And it's like it would draw more people to me, and I know it, man. I ended up being at the top of this thing. Like a lot of people would come to anything, everything, and it got to a point where you couldn't insult me crazy because like it was a Hebrew on, and I still would be humble about it. Would tell them, let's move in peace and love. We ain't gotta, all crazy and stuff like that. But after a while, I started noticing all these new camps were coming out and under, attached to the label of a Hebrew Israelite. And,
right, yeah.
And they were just putting out new doctrines every day. And do this on the Sabbath day. Oh no, it's from Friday sundown to Saturday sun up, or like it was just so many different things. Then I started seeing how they were treating the Hebrew women.
Right.
Like you guys are beneath us and we're above you, and we say you don't have an opinion, or you can't wear pants. Like, in the cons of this.
I mean, I'm just hearing you talk about the different camps popping up. I mean, that must have been quite confusing when you had spent so much time investing in this, and then with these different factions popping up, and you're thinking, okay, I can imagine that you're quite an exploratory person. So you're thinking, okay, if there's all of these different angles of looking at it, like maybe did you question yourself and everything you're working to?
Yeah, I questioned myself because, like I said, I had the top of this thing. I mean, I had a lot of people coming to me, or they was bringing people, hey, about this, know about that. And before the camps really got deep, I could lock it down. I could put, hey, look at this verse. This verse is really us. This verse is really talking about the white man. This verse is, it was like I was so secure and sure what I was saying or whatever. And then a lot of people started continuing to come, but they would have these different questions. And they'd be like, oh, no, the camp said this, but I don't understand because you said it was this, that. And once it started getting confusing, that started making me to step back and look at this from a different angle. I was so into it, I had to step out of it for a minute and just kind of look. And I started realizing that it's basically was tainted with too much of people twisting, being manipulative, kind of like a Christian pastor, I'm not saying all of them are bad, but a lot of them, they'll take a certain scripture that fits their, and they'll use that towards the people, I like to call it holy pimping. In a sense, that's what it is. And so I was actually talking to somebody called me. I need to talk to you. Something's really bothering me. And sure, what's going on? And he says, bro, man, I'm out here in Chicago. And, there was this girl on the street, homeless, and brothers, the Hebrew Israelite community, can you guys please help me? I'm hungry, I need help, And they literally bashed this girl, threw stones at her because she was wearing pants.
Wow.
Pants. Not because she tried to hurt them, tried to take from them. It was help you because a woman should wear pants. And this person was really upset.
When you found out about this, what then was kind of like what was the onus on you? Because you were quite a significant figure at the time within the community. So I'm guessing all eyes were kind of on you to kind of direct or to navigate this situation.
Right. So this happened. I was extremely pissed off. And so I took it upon myself and I did a video about that. And I don't like any, attaching drama or anything like that to anybody. But spoke out. I said, hey, we shouldn't be women like this. It's incorrect. It's actually ridiculous. You wouldn't help your sister because pants? Are you serious? You, instead of helping her, you're well, it says that a woman should wear woman's apparel and a man should wear, and believe it or not, brother, when I released this video, good at numbers, which I wanted that to happen because I wanted to get around to a lot of people in the history so they can snap out of it if they were being programmed by these camp. Be like that towards these women. And a lot of people was with it, a lot of they spoke out about it and, came to me, I appreciate you, sticking up for a lot of the women came to me about that. And then, of course, we had the ones talking about, or you trying to get some coochie points, excuse my language. Like a lot, a lot of ridiculous stuff. And so that was one thing. What I would say what really did it was I started all of a sudden seeing all these cases come up where these called Hebrew Israelite men were getting these women and practicing. I don't have nothing against that. If all parties is cool with it, do your thing. They were doing this to manipulate these women. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a process. It was more like, I'm gonna just drain you, get everything out of you, but I'm gonna use to manipulate you into doing that. You see what I'm saying? And and then in the midst of that also, I started questioning this program because everything is you know what I'm saying? I started questioning this system just like I was questioning the Christian as things, you know what I'm saying? That doctrination. And I was like, where do I go outside of this book? So I started looking in places I was told not, hey, don't look into brothers, or don't look into communicating with your ancestors, look into sage and all of that. All that stuff is witchcraft and blah 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 blah. Okay.
So basically, everything that was indicated, you decided to look into.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Yeah. I started realizing this was in 2007. I had 3 years. By 17, I started to a new version of myself. Like my old self was dying to a new version of self. Yeah. That being said, I'm looking at things differently now. I'm hearing things different. And when I started slowly moving away, followers, they were noticing. I ended up doing connected with the ancestors, which that's on YouTube. It's doing pretty 10K views. I put that out, and a lot of people came back to me. No, I'm kind of going a little too far. Let me go back a little bit. Okay, so even though I was starting to have mixed feelings, I still was trying level all this out. The people who were with me, the people who questioned me and wondered what I was going through, I was trying to balance all that out. Even with my family, they were looking at me strange. They all thought I was in a cult. I mean, it was all kinds of going on. So yeah, so that coming up, it was a Hebrew greeting me. I'll never forget it. Be in Texas at the time. I was in where was I? I was in Michigan, and they had invited me. Hey, we want you to speak at our. Oh, it was like a award thing or something. Because it was like 2016, maybe 17. Yeah, and they put me on a flyer and all that. I'm feeling pretty good. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, that's cool.
So you're billed as the speaker, one of the main speakers, the main appearances. Yeah.
Yeah. That I had connected with.
What was that like? What was that like?
you know what? It was two sides to it. One side of me felt like this is good because I feel like all the work that I had into recruit and helping people, and I felt like it was starting to, I guess, reap the reward, I guess I'll say. So things was as far as that aspect of being an Israelite. I'm feeling like, okay, I'm gonna get myself together. I got my notes, but then on this, I was feeling, I'm still an Israelite biblically. I'm starting to look at this whole Messiah thing. I think we should save ourselves. It's like little stuff, and it started with Christ. I kind of skipped when I said the ancestors. I'm starting to question this whole Christ thing, and I'm like, hey guys, don't y'all think it means something that? Because a lot of everything is coded in a sense, Maybe we are, maybe we should save ourselves, or maybe it was talking about the Christ conscience back as far as just living in love and being there for people a whole different way opposed to somebody in the sky, coming out to horse or some silly shit like that. So, so I started, hey guys, you ever thought about this, thought about that? And see, the thing that caught us, because these people are so stuck on, it's like that. It's got to be like this or like that. If it's outside of the Bible's philosophy, then it's incorrect, or it's the devil, or anything like that. So when I came with this thing, just a different aspect. Hey, what do you guys think? Blah blah blah. So at the time, very little. Some people be like, you know what? That kind of makes more sense. So even if you break the word Jesus down, just us. You see what I'm saying? It's just words are, you get find answers in just words alone if you break them down. So I did that, and like I said, my foot was still in the door, but I was still kind of looking out the blinds,
What was that like, trying to sort of straddle the two identities? Because they are kind of not necessarily polarizing, but there were certain things that stand out and would be conflictual. So like, how did you navigate that, still being in the Hebrew Israelite community, but exploring your spirituality and ancestry and all of that?
I think at that time I was trying to the two, but it wouldn't work because they're the total opposite. Like, that's what I would do, is just try to somehow blend it where it can all make sense. Because honestly, on a spiritual level, everything is right. But at that time, I couldn't really present it in that way because I hadn't really been that long to really access that knowledge like that. I was trying to have an Israelite, but I'm learning little spiritual stuff here and there, and that's really against how they feel. They feel like if it's outside of the Bible, make it us. So,
well, did you kind of have to keep this not necessarily a secret, because quite clearly you were sharing what you were doing with others, but did there come a point where you thought to yourself, you know what, like nobody wants to hear this?
No, I didn't. You know why I didn't get to that point? Because when I was going through that transition, like messages from people, and they'd be like, "Hey, brother, it's said this or you said that," because honestly, especially a lot of women, for some reason, it was dropped to me. They would say, "It's so funny you mentioned about the Christ consciousness example," and I've been feeling the same way. Like, I don't think it means, how they worded it in the Bible. And I'm glad that you are, brave enough to speak your mind, because, and the women were, and that's another thing I didn't like. The women were just so afraid, more so than the men. Like the men, they would give them a little more wiggle room, but the women, anything. Women couldn't have an opinion, you know. Shouldn't speak, you know. Like it was really, really weird, you know. And I have a wife, I have 2 daughters, and I'm just like, hey man, this is not cool. So when I would have me and Sailor stuff like that, it kind of made me feel like, you know, no, I'm gonna still speak my mind. I've always been that way, you know. And so, and it got to the point where some people in the inbox and be like, hey brother, I really wanted to bring this out, afraid of being attacked, you know, will you speak on this, or will you look over this, and if you agree with it, you share it on your page, stuff like that. So it wasn't like I felt like a waste of time. Nobody was hearing me. It was just me, like the old and each other, you know. New self like, hey, let's go this way, and the old self was still all of this going on over here, you know. So in the midst of me kind of different aspect of the Christ thing, I get a message from the Israelites, and they say, hey brother, we decided we're going to cut you from event because you got a different outlook on the Messiah, Jesus, would say like Messiah, Yahshua, or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I was like, whoa, like I'm like, ooh, I'm glad, because I was just about to buy my plane ticket, and I would have been pissed, you know. It's no problem, whatever. And even though I said that, yeah, I felt that way, because I'm like, so we're supposed to be Israelites, this particular line, just because I start thinking outside of what we've learned, that so now I'm not an Israelite. That doesn't make any sense, right? You know, if we're a blood, that is, if I feel a certain way, a little different. So I ended up, so this took a turning point for me. I made a post, and I was like, hey guys, I'm sorry, but I won't, because a lot of people were expecting me to come. You know, people were going to fly from all across the country to come. And a lot of people came to me, and it was like, this stuff I don't seem right no ways. And like a lot of people started really opening up how they felt, you know. I guess because they were upset because they felt like I shouldn't have not been canceled, stuff like that. So a lot of people started speaking out, but it was, of course, still a lot of people still like, well, you can't be doing this and doing that, and being in the Hebrew community. And meanwhile, you got 5 to 10 different camps, same book but different discernment. So it was all confusing. I just couldn't see it, you know. It took time, you know. And so I got kicked out of the event. Something in me really just start going into spirituality and started realizing the Bible has been tampered with. A lot of stuff has been taken out, a lot been added. There are a lot of contradictions. Okay, so more and more thinking for myself, you know, told to lead me, you know, and once I started doing that, felt eventually I just no longer was an Israelite. And I can honestly say a good amount of people came with me. It took some longer than others. It took some long, you know, some still in there. You know, I had to detach from that because I felt like it was partial, because a lot of them I did bring in at the time.
Yeah.
The same. But I also felt like everybody has their own purpose, you know. If it's up from that, they will, you know. I thought it was something that was right. And say all this to bash the Hebrew Israelites. And my story, I'm telling how, and I didn't like how women, I didn't like how manipulative, and it would be like weird, like they were robots or something. I remember I was promoting when it came out in 2017, and I just put on, you know, it's called here, and just, like something for the people who are awakened.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to say, "Oh, that's stupid, that's dumb. You trying to get money out the people and blah 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 blah. You ain't real." And because I'm trying to create business, I'm trying to create revenue for myself. You know what I'm saying? It's got out of control. Like any little thing, they would have something to say. Me, they not living by the book for real. So and so a lot of people came with me, because a lot of them were, I was, but what was holding them back was because they were afraid of being attacked by fellow Israelites, or I'm afraid that if I break a commandment, kingdom. Like, this is stuff I would hear all the time, and I'm like,
this is amazing stuff to hear, because you are somebody that has, I mean, what's your background? Was your background particularly religious, or?
Actually, my great grandfather was a pastor. I grew up in church, and pretty much my whole family are Christians. That's probably
Right.
No, I'll say two or three that are.
Yeah.
And I grew up knowing God, question God, or a lot of those manipulative.
Yes,
I was attacked.
It seems like, yeah, definitely. A lot of those seeds were planted from early to be submissive to the authority, and to just obey and to go along with that. You had a very pivotal role in bringing quite a large swathe of people into the community, and then when you kind of realized that something was going on, things began to fracture and break down. You began to see see what was the underlying issues that were inherent in I'd like to say all religions, but I think that there's a strand that runs through with the way that people think about women, particularly being the second, or not even the second, sometimes just the addition, the supplement to the environment. And it's I think that it's really profound that you recognize that, even though you still had a very significant position, and you challenged that, and you broke away from that once you saw that challenge was not being met with some sort of reconciliation. So I have to say, man, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing this story. And I'd like for you to just kind of share kind of what's kind of happened after that.
Once I fully detached from that, the brainwash, not being able to think for myself, pulling people in, from all of that, I literally elevated. I mean, to my own horn, but this is what happened. Once I detached from that, I was able to create 2 clothing lines. Now I have a lot of spiritual followers. Those Israelites, I turned them into spiritualists. Proud to say, very proud to say. I also do card readings and stuff like that, things that, of course, the Israelites would, but they would demonize everything. I do a spirit. So I have a handful of students that I'm helping reach higher consciousness. I'm doing music. I just put out an album last week. I've gotten a lot done. I think that was a distraction for me, in a sense. Me going into places I've never been. I think like I don't think I would have gotten any of this done, because they hold the word, the Bible, making people do this, they should, like that. And because I remember it got to the point where I got to the point where I didn't even want to say nothing to you. on your posts, with my opinions, and because I didn't want to get attacked. Like, it was like crazy, But even though it just, something inside of me just did not. And the more that I reached out to my ancestors, more it's like they opened my eyes and realized that for me, and I've always had that, So
even that phrase, it just being a season, it just reminds me of Christianity. I think that there are some things that ring true, and this applies to all religions, that there are things that we can take. You can what's the phrase? Take the meat, and really utilize that in a way that's beneficial for yourself, for your own well-being, for your own spiritual framework, and apply that in your life. And it sounds like you've really done that work and worked through that. And yeah, it sounds like you're really prospering at the moment. So I want to thank you so much for joining me today for the Curious Anarchy podcast astrology series. This is currently going out live on Clubhouse as well. So I'm not sure how many I've got because I put the phone out of view. But yeah, this is the first one that I've done on Clubhouse just as a test, and I wanted to see how it went, just to make sure the software can work and I can actually get it working. So yeah, thank you so much, Jawan. Really appreciate your time. Jawan Beamon, the Taurian, today.
If I can, I just want to leave it at, if you're a part of something that's controlling or questioning, or it's just fear mongering, you definitely need to, it could be definitely slowing your life down as far as elevating and prospering and growing as an individual, and I just want to leave that.
Thank you so much, Jawan. Really appreciate your time. Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is the Curious Anarchy podcast with another episode of the astrology series, this time joined by Jawan Beamon, the Taurus. Thank you.
You're welcome.